every subgroup, no child left behind subgroup, all 13 out of 13. And now in 2007-08, Charlotte has closed the gap and outperforms Wake among Blacks, limited English proficient students, and low-income students. That's one of the things you missed, the longitudinal performance of Charlotte compared to Wake County, where Wake has dropped compared to the state average. The other thing I want to...
If I can just comment on that for a second.
Sure.
Question. First of all, I think it's important to look at test scores in the context of the dropouts when you're talking about high school exams. And I see the results as roughly comparable, not as Mecklenburg beating Wake. And the other thing is, I can't draw you a direct line between Charlotte's pre-K program and the results that you're talking about, but it's certainly highly plausible that we're seeing the positive effects of the program that began in 1997 and is filtering, kids that have benefited from that program not filtering through the system. I'll be the first to say Charlotte did some things better than Wake, and I think we're seeing some of those positive results.
One other point. Last year, in 2006-07, Charlotte's dropout rate among Blacks was lower than Wake County's, so it's only this year, this 1 year, that's been the case. If you look at last year's data, you'll see that Charlotte's dropout rate among Blacks was lower. And also, on end-of-course tests, Charlotte Mecklenburg, the third grade through eighth grade results are roughly equivalent to Wake, and they've also closed the gap there in elementary school, so just want to point that out. The other thing is, you were showing all this research about how high-poverty schools decrease student performance among middle class and low-income students. So I kind of want to know how you justify the fact that middle-class students are not going to be harmed by being sent to a higher poverty school, and also if there's research available that actually tracks swap students, reassigned students. Were low-income students helped? Were middle-class students harmed by being bused for the minimums? Is there research that has actually tracked students?
Yes.
And not just the overall performance of schools?
Right, yeah. Cal, if you don't mind, I think we could go back to the slide. Let me just go to that slide. This is the one I think you're talking about. And I should have explained this at the beginning. So it looks on the surface like the middle class kids are harmed, right? Their scores go down, some in the middle, as well as in the high poverty schools where there's a significant drop-off. David Rusk did some extensive research into why there's this apparent drop-off and an apparent school effect. And his conclusion was that this is much more the product of family effects rather than school effects. Remember, they're the family effects of socioeconomic status and then the school effects. And one of the problems with this chart is that you're dealing with free and reduced lunch kids and those who are not eligible. Well, when you think about who's eligible, there are some kids who are coming from families making $41,000 a year. There are some from families making $1 million a year. And the research suggests that the test scores are going to change, even if they all went to the same exact school. That higher income students, that wealthy students do better than upper middle class students, upper middle class students do better than middle class do better than lower middle class. And that the types of students who tend to be in the more affluent schools, the ones where there are very, very low percentages of low income students, are from wealthier families than the ones who are in the economically mixed schools. This is national data, so this isn't based on a program of integration. And so that is likely to be an effect of family more than a negative effect of school. There is a negative effect when you drop middle class kids into high poverty schools. If you look at the many years of research on racial desegregation, which is not precisely the same but is relevant, there are many opponents of racial integration who said there are no strong academic benefits for African Americans. There is no credible researcher who said this program hurt white kids, who tended to be middle class kids. So there was never a negative effect found in the many studies based on racial desegregation. And if you look at the performance of middle class kids in Wake County and white kids in Wake County, there's no evidence of harm. They're doing better than the kids in segregated schools in those other counties.
Was there research?
Oh, in terms of the research, students, right. There's extensive research on low-income kids having a chance to go to middle-class schools. There's some research that is included in a book I recently edited on 9 inter-district programs. These are programs where low-income kids have a chance to go, in cities have a chance to go to middle-class suburban schools. And some of these studies are controlled. That is, there was a lottery, and some of the kids got to go to middle-class schools, some of them didn't. They checked them over time, and there were positive benefits to the kids who were in those programs. In terms of students being moved from middle class to certainly to high poverty schools, I'm not aware. I mean, it's just not something that tends to happen politically, and it doesn't happen in Wake County either. I mean,
Thinking of magnet schools.
Okay, thank you so much. We got 4 more, so we want everybody to get their questions. Thank you so much.